Today we're making a frittata. A frittata is an custard egg bite, and it's very simple. And the nice thing is you can freeze it, put it in the freezer individually, and you've got a quick breakfast for on the run, heat it up, and off you go. So I'm going to start with cutting up an onion. So I'm going to do what's called mise en place, which is, and it'll save you so much time. It's putting everything together for your recipe, everything that you need in one place so that you have it when you're ready. So there's our onions. Next, we're going to cut up some mushrooms. These mushrooms have already been cleaned. The nice thing about a frittata is it doesn't matter how things are diced or cut. I'm putting this in a mini muffin pan, so I want to have them pretty small. Otherwise, one piece of mushroom will take up the whole pan, the whole cup. So this is a great clean out your fridge day dish. It's ready in half an hour, and you can put anything in it. I'm putting mushrooms, onions, and a few other things in it, but you could put any leftover meat that you have. Next, I'm going to do some red peppers. You can put a half or a whole red pepper. I have just some slices that were left. I'm going to cut them into strips, thin strips, and then I'm going to just make small dices out of them. That'll be enough to flavor the eggs and give some color. You could use green peppers, you could use green onions to give it some color, or leave the peppers out. And I'm going to add these to my plate now. Next, we're going to do a little bit of broccoli, and instead of cutting what my son calls the trees, we're just going to do a little bit of shredding, and again, give it color and a little bit of crunch. And that's really all we need. Just take the tops off the broccoli. So in the food pantry, we try to have fresh produce as often as possible, and when we can get fresh produce from Dare to Care, we incorporate it. We do hand out, if we get something like a rutabaga, and that's unusual to people, we try to hand out recipes. So this frittata recipe, even though it doesn't have a rutabaga in it, this frittata recipe is a popular one at the pantry. So right now I'm just grating some sharp cheddar cheese, but you could put pepper jack, any kind of cheese that you like. And the reason I'm grating the cheese is if you buy it already shredded, yes, it's a time saver, but shredded cheese in packages has coating on it that prevents it from melting as nicely as a brick cheese would. So that's why I always shred my cheese. I'm not going to put that on the plate because that's not going in the pan. So now, again, depending on the size frittata that you want, how many eggs. Again, you don't have to measure anything for a frittata. If you just want a quick pie pan size frittata, you can do that. And again, I'm going to do 6 eggs, and that will fill 2 mini muffins or 1 regular muffin. It'll probably, you might want to do 12 and more ingredients if you're doing it in a pie plate. Get my whisk, and I'm going to whisk these eggs. Okay, I'm going to heat the pan up, and we'll put the vegetables in there. I'm going to use a little bit of butter and a little bit of canola oil. You could do all butter, but it browns. The canola oil gives it a higher smoke point, so the butter won't brown. Later also, we're going to put parsley in, but not in the saute pan. So with parsley, you can either chop it up or just snip the amount that you need, and you get some nice small cuts doing it this way, and you don't have to worry about chopping. So we're just going to put a little bit, and you can also use cilantro. Actually, the recipe calls for cilantro, but not one of my favorite things, so I'm using parsley. All right, I think our pan is hot. I'll put a little butter in. And just a touch of oil. And when that's hot, I'm going to add the vegetables that we cut up. I'm going to start with the onions because they'll take a little bit longer, then the red peppers, and the mushrooms and broccoli last. And you don't have to do it for long. We just want to get that raw taste off of it. You can brown the onions if you want. Again, it'll give it color, but we're just going to do a quick saute today. So we're going to start with the onions. Next, we're going to add in the red peppers. And again, you want to start with the vegetables that take the longest to cook because they'll continue to cook once you put the other vegetables in. So we have our 6 eggs, and I'm going to whisk those up. And to this, I'm going to add our parsley and our cheese. Because those can just go directly. And then once these vegetables cook, we're going to add them directly to the eggs when they cool off. And then we'll pour everything into the muffin tins. So I have 2-size muffin tins. This is the mini muffin pan, and like this recipe will probably fill 2. This is a 12-cup muffin tin, and then I also have the cupcake size. So I'm going to get a full mini muffin and probably 6 of the cupcake size muffin tins. So when I put them in the oven, I'm going to put water in the empty so that the pan doesn't warp. The first thing I'm going to do is spray our muffin tin, because these will stick since they have cheese in them. And now I'm going to add our mushrooms to the vegetables, because those are doing pretty well, and the broccoli. And we're going to stir that up. And like I said, we really just want to warm it so that we're not getting raw vegetable taste. We just want to warm it, put a little color to it, and then we'll cool it off. Let that sit, because the more you stir it, the less it'll get color to it. All right, so now we have our vegetables, and I'm going to pour them right into the eggs and stir that up. Now, if your vegetables are too hot, they'll start cooking the eggs, so you want to be sure it's nice and cool. We'll stir that up. Oh, and there's our mixture. And, all right. So to pour this in, I'm going to use a small measuring cup. If you have a glass measuring cup with a spout, that works, or a soup ladle. In the small ones, I'm just going to put about a 1/4 cup. Fill it up. You can fill it up to the top. It'll puff up nicely. But I would, when you put it in the oven, put a cookie sheet on the tray below it. I'd cook these in the middle, and put a cookie sheet on the rack below it. So in case it does cook over, you'll protect your oven. So there's our mini muffins. And oops. And I was right, we're going to get about 6 of these. And these are going to bake at 350 for about 35 minutes. The mini muffins may cook a little faster, so you want to check them at about 20 minutes and see how they're doing. They're done when you jiggle it and the top is nice and brown and doesn't jiggle. But you don't want to overcook them either. So check them at about 20 minutes. And then for a max of 35. So we're ready to put these in the oven. Since we did only fill 6 of the muffin cups, I am going to put water in the other 6, so that the pan doesn't work. It's mainly just to protect my pan, but you also want to remember that there's water in there when you're pulling it out of the oven, because the water will be hot. Okay, these have cooled, come out of the oven. We have our mini muffins on the outside and our cupcake-sized muffins on the inside. Makes a wonderful presentation. You can put some parsley or some chives on top of this if you're serving it. Or like I said, you can flash freeze them in the freezer, put them separately in the freezer, and then once they're frozen, put them in zip bags, and you have breakfast on the go, even lunch. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you enjoy the frittata, that you'll make it at home and try it. Many of the ingredients for this frittata did come from the Sonny and Janet Meyer Jewish Family and Career Services Food Pantry, where we give out between 6,000 and 7,000 pounds of food a month to our clients. That does include fresh produce as well as dry goods. I hope you enjoy making this recipe at home.